am Lisa.
And I'm Jonathan.
And we're Creative for Learning. Today we're going to start sailing into some tricky waters with a video series of conversations about beliefs in the classroom. Today's focus, what are students allowed to do? Of belief system about the world. This includes religion, faith, politics, philosophy, ecology,
Yes,
etc. And there are a lot of feelings out there around this topic, faith and beliefs in the public school classroom. So what can some of those feelings be? Maybe we're confused about the laws and aren't sure where to start.
Maybe we want to dive in, but we're afraid of doing it wrong and losing our jobs and looking like idiots or whatever.
Maybe we're angry at teachers who try to integrate beliefs into the classroom.
Maybe we've kind of ignored the rules because we feel like we should be able to talk about anything we want and we're a little maverick and we like it.
Maybe we just want to make sure all students have the right to be represented and want to know how.
Whatever your feelings are, even if they're other ones, we thought it'd be good to start with what the law says and get that cleared up before we go any further. So parents, students, teachers, and admin, and everyone else all have their own rights and regulations around this idea of including religion, faith, everything, philosophy, all that. But they all basically echo the same principles. Whichever of these groups you're from, parents, what can your child do? Students, what can you do? Teachers, what can your students do? We just want to add more clarity for you around what is allowed and what isn't.
We've tried to make sure we're accurately outlining these, but please make sure you also look these up too. We're in this with you and are always learning for ourselves. And we want to make sure that you know that we are not the all-knowing people. We've looked into it and
we wanted to talk about it.
Yeah. So for today, let's zoom in on students' rights regarding faith at school.
So the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution has the first solid word on this. You ready? Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. This means that schools can't make anyone practice any certain religion, but also can't prohibit the free exercise of it. Schools also cannot abridge the free speech of students.
But if students were allowed to do or say anything related to religion, then school could get a little crazy. Which brings
kind of like Facebook.
Which brings us to the second general rule. If a school allows any student or group to exercise a right, it must allow all students or groups to exercise that right.
And the last general guideline is that schools can infringe on a right if it is seriously preventing school from functioning smoothly, and they must infringe on them all the same. So let's dive into some details. Students can wear religious clothing and jewelry as long as it doesn't interfere with the operation of the school or isn't lewd or obscene.
Students can pray on their own or in self-gathered groups as long as they don't disrupt school activities.
We just said that again. That's kind of a theme. Yeah, you don't disrupt school activities. Students can talk about their faith in their schoolwork, projects, artwork, as long as it accomplishes the assignment in quality ways.
Students can invite friends to their faith-based events as long as they are respectful of other students' space and don't disrupt school activities.
There it is again.
This is where the First Amendment is joined up with the Equal Access Act. It says,
also known as EAA.
Okay. EAA. Public secondary schools that receive federal funds. So is it only secondary schools? Because it's like high schools with their clubs.
I guess elementary schools have clubs possibly too.
But it says secondary.
Yeah, it's much more a secondary issue. Interesting.
Public secondary schools that receive federal funds cannot deny equal access or a fair opportunity to or discriminate against any students who wish to conduct a meeting within that limited open forum on the basis of the religious, political, philosophical, or other content of the speech at such meeting.
Maybe it's because like fourth graders aren't thinking about that stuff and aren't calling meetings. Or maybe they are. I don't know. Let us know down in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
Students can distribute printed religious material as long as they don't disrupt significantly any school activities.
Students can post flyers or announcements in public spaces where anyone else is allowed to post non-religious content.
So if I put something about the bake sale, then they can put something about religious things. Anything like that. All right, next. Students can start any kind of club they want to and invite any outside speakers they want.
Any outside speakers?
I think so.
Students can mention their faith and religious scriptures in special speeches or ceremonies like awards or graduation.
Students can mention their faith and ask faith questions during classroom discussions and while studying novels and stories, history, science, or anything they see their faith as relevant to the learning community, the topic, and also isn't disruptive.
Which definitely gets into the English language arts classroom.
Absolutely.
Yep. Phew-wee. That was a lot, but we wanted to make sure we brought up a bunch of different situations to help us better understand the nuances. Those aren't really situations we brought up. They were just like the rules and logistics.
Yeah. So, pop quiz time then. Here we go, situations. Who can have a club at school?
Answer: anyone. That means Catholic, Jewish, Muslim, Christian, Sikh, atheist, anything. That also means maybe then like communist, democratic, Republican, KKK, environmental, LGBTQ, or anything else similar.
Or different?
Or different.
Yeah.
As well as, of course, like chess and cheer. Could you have like the Walking Dead Club?
Absolutely.
And disaster prep, robotics, etc. So really, that's where it could get crazy though, because you also need to have a staff person that is willing to sponsor the club, right? Or not sponsor it, but be like the representative.
Yeah.
Not representative. What is it? Like host.
Just supervisor. Mm-hmm.
Supervisor. So what if there's a school where nobody wants to do the...
That's a good question. Like, what if there are students who can't find a teacher? Because it's the student's job who have to find the teacher. Mm-hmm. The staff, like the admin, at least at my school, they didn't have to go find it. It was the students that needed to go find a teacher. The office would help. Like, these teachers are free during your lunchtime when you're trying to have this. And so go talk to those teachers. And those teachers, if you can find a teacher who will supervise your group, then those teachers most likely have to let you use your classroom. I think that's part of the EAA, because that class isn't being used at that time, and so students can. Or if there's a public space like a library that's not being used, then they have the right to use that. It's their classroom.
But then it takes away from like teacher prep time, yeah?
Potentially. I mean, that teacher can still be in the classroom, right?
They have to be.
No. So I could let them use my classroom, but me not be the supervising person. So some other teacher could be the supervisor, but I could just, you can use my classroom, but I'm not going to be the person who's there every time. I may need to go make copies and prep, but you can use my classroom. So both of those could happen. But if they can't find a teacher, then they can't meet. So each group has to have a staff chaperone or supervisor, whatever, who will be there just basically for safety, and so students don't get crazy, because whoever comes in, whatever guest speakers the group has, isn't responsible for those students. It has to be a staff person. And so we'll get into how much that teacher or that staff person can get involved in the meeting during the teacher's rights video. But if students can't find a teacher, they can't meet.
So that means that's the one tricky, fudgy, gray area about whether students get to exercise this right, because the school can't make a teacher host a meeting during their non-teaching time. So if we're using KKK just because that's like, so if the KKK club can't find a teacher willing to host their group, they can't meet.
Which might be hard for them. Maybe should be hard for them, but we're not going to say that. The school can't do that.
And it seems the teachers can have plausible deniability about why they can't volunteer to supervise a group. So wait, with the KKK though, that would be like hate speech.
Not if they don't do that. I don't know. Like that may be some other rule, but there's religion wrapped up in that. I don't know. Like whatever the group is though, that's the general rule. We just use that as an example because that makes us cringe, right? But whatever
that also makes it where we might get some.
Well, just because. So the point of that though is just because whatever group makes the admin or the staff cringe, that doesn't mean you can't allow it, right? If they follow all the rules, then you have to let them have the group, or you have to then rewind and get rid of all the other groups because they all have to have equal access, right? That's the students' rights. So I remember at my public middle school, there was a group of students who came and asked me if they could meet for a Bible club in my room. There hadn't been one in years, during my lunch once a week. And I said yes, and basically I just worked the whole time. They'd bring pizza, different youth group leaders from their different churches would come and lead Bible study or activities or games. They'd invite each other to each other's churches and activities and work together sometimes for community-wide service events. And all the teacher, had to do was be there to supervise. But I could have said no, and then they would have just been up a creek without a study.
So there you go. That's it for round 1, exploring the rights of students and how they can live out their various belief systems. Stay tuned for more videos about teachers' rights and maybe a couple more about just different nuances to this conversation.
If you have anything to add to this, we're just starting the conversation. We feel like we've given a lot of good stuff here, and maybe you've never even heard some of this before. So check it all out, double check it, all of that, and leave your comments down there. Help us nuance anything that maybe we have a little bit off. So thanks for being here and joining this conversation.
Conversation of the day. What questions do you have about students' rights to practice their faith at their public school?
There you go. Put those down in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe. Share this with other teachers who just want to be thinking about teaching conversations and be having real topics that really matter to our classrooms, and we want to bring those up over and over. So thanks for being here. We love y'all, and keep being awesome.